The Ewing years. I mean,
they won dozens of playoff series, or not dozens,
Okay,
but they won dozens of playoff games in the 90s.
No, I gotcha. Not a lot of things happen very positively for the New York Knicks today, potentially?
Wouldn't say that.
Are
really.
You talking about Giannis's lower back contusion? Is that where we're going here? What
Tyler Hero broke his hand. Giannis hurt his back. You're up 1-0 on the Cavs.
So, well, hold on. This is a full-blown.
I guess they didn't win the game today, so I'll take a step back.
This is a very bizarre start to a pod.
No. Wendy is a full-blown coastal bias ESPN dude now. He's got Knicks versus Lakers.
He certainly is.
Oh my God. I see what's happening here.
Well, I was being facetious, but it was a good day for the Knicks potentially.
Do you know what I like?
You guys are just in a little bit of a difficult situation, because when I said the Lakers had a top 6 roster in the Western Conference, I was lambasted as
if the Lakers continue to play teams missing 3 of their top 7 players, they're going to roll right to the championship. They're going to roll right along. It's going to be good.
Let's start with the game I was just at, Suns and Clippers. Clippers take game 1. Guys, my memory isn't what it used to be, but I can't say I've seen too many games like Russell Westbrook had on Sunday night.
Wow.
I was flabbergasted about 4 different times in the fourth quarter alone. I was mildly surprised, not hugely surprised, but I was mildly surprised that Ty Lue put Russell Westbrook back in the game. It was not the best played game. The Suns came out very flat, which probably is related to the fact that they didn't play their guys at all the last 2 games and didn't have a game of consequence for like almost 2 weeks. And, out of all the teams in the West that were fighting, the Suns, were kind of locked into 4. They came out very flat. Monty Williams made a number of odd coaching decisions. He changed his starting lineup, although he put Torrey Craig in. But I have to say, Torrey Craig played really well. I don't think you're going to get a better Torrey Craig game. So the people here in Phoenix seem to be very focused on that decision. I was not. Maybe I'm missing it. I was stunned that twice he played lineups. First off, he played 11 guys. You don't play 11 guys in the playoffs unless you are playing garbage time. And twice he had lineups where he had 4 bench players and Devin Booker out there. Oof. And their bench isn't good. And the Clippers bench is good. And they got trucked in those minutes. And then down the stretch of the game, they kept running Ayton, Chris Paul pick and rolls, which is fine if the point of the pick and roll is to force the ball over to Durant or Booker, but the ball never went to Durant or Booker. Like they kept giving shots to DeAndre Ayton. And it's one thing if a team was like triple teaming Durant, but Durant never saw the ball to get double teamed.
Yes.
Kevin Durant took 1 shot in the final 9 minutes of the game. The 3 he made with about 1 minute and 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, I will say that the Suns scored 29 points in the fourth quarter. It wasn't like they weren't scoring, but it was not great, Bob.
Yeah, I would say if you give up 4 draft picks and 2 core players for a guy, you might want to let him touch the ball with a playoff game on the line a little bit. That's just my advice in that situation. I would say if the ball's not running through Kevin Durant during crunch time, then you need to figure out a way to get it running through his hands, because what's the point of having him if that's the way you want to play? That's weird. Definitely like the 11-man rotation. Like, listen,
well, but
pick 8 guys. 4 of them were givens. Find 4 others. But like this ain't JV tryout time.
Well, here's the thing. We've been talking for weeks about how the Suns have no depth and how it's going to be a problem. And you guys keep talking about 11 guys. He played 6 guys, 24 minutes or more. And then he played another 5 guys between 4 and 8 minutes. That's a sign of a guy who has no faith in his bench and is scrambling to find something he thinks he can play. Played Bismack Biyombo in the first half, tried Jock Lando in the second half, played Brian favorite bench player, Ish Wainwright, a few minutes. He tried Terrence Ross for a couple minutes.
Guys, this was a play. I don't want to focus on their rotation right now.
No, but
everything you're
it's
saying,
not.
Bontemps
It's not
is true, but
focusing on their rotation. This is the fundamental problem the Suns have. They don't have enough players. They might end up winning anyway because their top end players are great, but that's why they played 11 guys. He doesn't trust any of these guys.
well, anyway,
And
Durant did not score in the first quarter and did not score in the third quarter. Not ideal.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my analysis there. All right. So,
But hold on, let's get to Russ. Russ
well, that's
somehow
why
just,
I am.
Yes.
Good man. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm just saying all that's
Yeah.
going on.
kind sir.
They take Russ out of the game. Ty takes Russ out of the game with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Suns are up 7. They are totally got the momentum for the game. It looks like they've woken up. It was a great environment in Phoenix. You know, it's an older arena, so it's a smaller arena. The footprint is small. How about that? Wink, wink.
Oh wow, you are
terrific.
Just on a roll.
Terrific environment. Russ fired people up by going through a club, which I'm going to tell you about in a second at halftime.
I love when Wendy has club coverage for us.
I was in the club tonight. I can't speak for anybody else.
Like 50 Cent.
50 was there. So anyway, I thought there was a good chance that Russ wasn't coming back because after he took him out of the game, the Suns went from up 7 to down 4. And a part of it was who Monty was playing. Again, he had Booker out there with 4 bench players. Part of it was Kawhi in part of that stretch got really hot because Kawhi's awesome and he was awesome. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I was like, this is going great. Like they're not going to bring Russ back because at that point, Russ was, he was 3 of 16 shooting. And I believe at that moment he was a minus like 14 or 15. Okay. In addition to him being 3 of 16, several of the misses that he had were almost like turnovers because they led to fast breaks for the Suns. The Suns got back into the game basically by playing fast breaks. So imagine my surprise when Russ came to the scorers table and checked in for Kawhi. I was like, wow. And so like I went down to the Clippers locker room after the game. Started to ask some people like decision-making type folks, like, did you think Russ was coming back in? I know Ty obviously said, of course he was coming back in when he, and they were like, no, we believe in him. And I mean, like their actions over words, guys. I mean, their actions, they believe in Russell Westbrook. I was wrong. I don't even know if I guess I was wrong.
And even more so now than they did when he checked back in the game down the stretch, because the dude had a 3 of 19 night and somehow came through as one of the heroes of the game.
That's the thing, guys. He missed 3 more shots. He had a horrifying turnover where he threw the ball away that almost allowed the Suns to take basically position at the end of the game.
Coming out of a user lose a timeout, he flings the ball out of bounds, threw it 5 feet away from Kawhi, coming out of that timeout. Yeah. By the way, the reason Kawhi, and I'm sure we'll get to all of Russ's antics at the end of the game. The reason why Russ was able to be a hero at the end of the game was Kawhi Leonard was by far the best player on the court. Oh. And if you want to talk about like, the Clippers have long odds in this series, especially after Woj reported today that Paul George is unlikely to play in this series. But their chance to win this series comes down to the fact that guy has the ability to be the best player on the court when Kevin Durant is playing. And he was unbelievable in this game today. It was a vintage Kawhi, and it was a reminder of why the Clippers did everything they did to get this guy in the first place, because he was incredible in this game.
Yeah, he not only did he have 38 and just make a ton of classic Kawhi mid-range shots, jump stops, escape dribbles, 17-footers in traffic. He and 2 huge three-pointers in the fourth quarter to help the Clippers get leverage. He was guarding Durant down the stretch.
Well, you want to talk about why Durant wasn't getting the ball? I mean, he essentially Deion Sanders him out of the game. I think the Suns just went 4-on-4 with the other guys, which I mean, I would be giving Durant the ball, to be clear, but
Right.
Well,
That-
Kawhi
I
is
mean-
great, but there are things you can do to get Kawhi
I
off of
agree.
Durant for a split second to get him the
I'm
ball.
not trying to say that was the right call, but you look at how the game played out, like it's kind of hard to think it was anything else, really. It was like, hey, we're not going to go at him.
Wow. So Westbrook, like he gets the ball. I think the possession started with 28 seconds left, and they had 14 on the clock because they had gotten offensive. They had gotten the two
Westbrook had
offensive
just,
rebounds.
yeah, Westbrook had just created 2 whole possessions.
Right.
for him.
Westbrook, and the thing I want to say something about Westbrook. It appeared to me, and I'm not an expert on X's and O's. I think everybody will agree. The strategy that the Clippers were using, when they were sort of sending Westbrook to blindside Durant on double teams. So when Durant would come off of a screen and he would go to the side, which is like where he likes to go down the wing, they were having Westbrook trail him. And several times, like as Durant would start moves, Westbrook would come from behind and knock the ball out. It was interesting defensive strategy, which Ty Lue is known for good strategies. And Westbrook was being very effective. Westbrook's hands were all over the ball throughout the game. And I think part of the reason why they put Westbrook back in, despite the team playing well, is they wanted that defensive tool, because Westbrook is very few people are able to cover ground like Westbrook. And when you look at the other options that the Clippers have, like Eric Gordon's not going to be able to do that as effectively.
What about Bones Highland? Not putting Bones in for some defensive.
Well, I'm not sure that Bones needed to be in the game at the end.
Well, then they were running him. They were running, to your point, they were running Russ and Terrence Mann out there, right? Like that. Those guys were flying around, wreaking havoc.
Terrence Mann did an excellent job in this game, especially giving Chris Paul problems with ball pressure. But that's not for right now. So I understand why I kind of understand why Ty put it back there. But so the possession started with 28 seconds left. They had a timeout. The ball was obviously supposed to go to Kawhi. They face guarded him, which again is common. They couldn't get the ball to Kawhi. So Russ decided he's going to take the ball into his hands and go to the basket.
Yeah, KD was all over him. He played great defense.
Guys, he's 3 of 19, and he's like, gents, I'm going in. And he's got Devin Booker on him. By the way, Devin Booker played one of the best defensive games I've ever seen him play. I don't have the stats right in front of me. That would be professional. But he had like 4 blocks.
He had four blocks and 3. He had 3 blocks and 4 steals in 43 minutes and made several other ridiculous plays.
Yeah, he took at least one charge I can remember. And Russ got fouled and made both free throws.
Made them both.
And then the Suns had 2 timeouts left, so that turned into from a 1 to a 3-point game. The Suns had 2 timeouts left, and could have played the steal foul game, because they could have tried for 2, then fouled, tried to get a steal foul, and then still have their last timeout to advance the ball if the Clippers went to the foul line and got it back up by 3 or 2. They couldn't get the ball in bounds, so they had to call their last timeout. Now they're in a position where they have to kind of go for a 3, or if they go for a 2, it's got to be quick. The ball went to Booker. Booker decided to go to the basket, and Russ, I think they credited Russ with the block. He had 3 blocks, so they credited him with the block.
Mm-hmm.
He blocked the ball. Booker was trying to scoop it near the rim. He did look like he hit him on the wrist, but Booker was not in good position to score there. I'm not going to obsess about the call. And then after the ball went loose, Westbrook took the ball and threw it off Booker out of bounds to basically end the game with 2 brilliant defensive plays in the split second. And my jaw was wide open. I've just never seen that type of performance. It was an incredible performance by him at the end. It was like for every good play he made 1.5 bad plays. But like aggregated together with the greatness of Kawhi, they're up 1-0.
It was the best 3 of 19 performance I've ever seen.
Wow.
Seriously though, the guy helped them win the game. Say
Big
what
time.
you want. He helped them win the game. He was critical to the Clippers closing out a road game 1 victory. You can say whatever you want, but that is a fact.
No question.
All right. Meanwhile, you may have seen a video on social media of Russell screaming at a fan. Or shouldn't say screaming. He was not screaming. The fan was kind of yelling at him, and Russell was basically challenging the fan back. They were having a heated back and forth. And Russell was in a club wearing his uniform. And you may say, how and when did that happen? He also was holding his uniform up, like his jersey was half off, making it like you wonder when that happened. So there's just another thing that has happened in an eventful night. There is a club right behind the Clippers bench. There's also one on the other side of the arena, but right behind the Clippers bench, there is a courtside club where courtside season ticket holders can go in before, during, and after the game. And it's got, all the stuff you see in other nice types of environments, several bars, playing music, seating areas, food, drink, what have you. And right on the other side of that club, there is a door that leads to the Clippers locker room, which, as you can imagine, is secured and with guards, at least a guard. And during the pandemic, when the fans were empty, or even when fans started to come back in and that club wasn't open, it's a shortcut to go right from the locker room. You go right through the club and you can get right to the bench. You can get from the Clippers locker room to the bench through the club in like 29 seconds, give or take. And if you walk around to the standard
Russ
player
is quick.
tunnel,
I bet he can do it in 27.
I'll bet he can do it faster than me. How about that? If you go around the way you're supposed to go and you sort of go through the bowels of the arena and come back out the main tunnel, it probably takes an additional 45 seconds to a minute. So, but the players all knew this shortcut because during the pandemic, whenever they came to Phoenix, they just would use it because the club was closed. And the players have continued to use it. And they typically use it coming out of halftime when they kind of trickle out one by one. And so the security guards there have become a little lax, and a Clipper security guard went with Russ into the club to make sure everything was fine. And people said stuff to him and he said stuff back. So, and I felt bad for it was like maybe like an 8 or 10-year-old kid there whose father or whoever was with him was getting into it with Russ. I felt bad for that kid. But that also happened. So I suspect that for game 2, that may be removed as a shortcut option.
Listen, can I
Clippers
say
players.
something? Westbrook is an acceptable taunt. There's no profanity. I'm sorry. There's no profanity. It's not, there's no kind of like, misogyny or, like it's an acceptable, silly taunt of a playoff of a guy's name. Russ he cannot try to fight fans for calling him Westbrook, especially in a game that he's 3 of 19.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.